All right, so this is my 10th year of teaching, and as far as answering the question without thinking about what my current school does, the one thing I really noticed is that I think schools focus so much on the student learning data that we fail to pull in the pieces of the perceptions and the demographics and all of those. And that was kind of my huge takeaway from this class, is that you have to look and make connections in other places to really identify what the problem is in order to help decrease those learning gaps. Um, and then also being organized with a plan for how you're going to do it, like with the assessment calendar and different things. So teachers know exactly when they're expected to do all of these things. Because last year my district started iReady, which it sounds like it's very similar to what your FastBridge is, but we're supposed to give that once a quarter. We're pre-K through 5, but they don't have a preschool piece. But last year we had first graders. It was their first time doing it. That's what I teach, is first grade. They're crying before we even get into the program. We're almost on the verge of tears because we have never used it before. And we're like you guys with your FastBridge. We had like very minimal training. Basically, here's your logins, get your kids in, have them take this test. It'll say diagnostic, click on that. And we're like, okay. Well, then we start going around, and the questions are like third grade geometry and 3-digit subtraction and stuff. And the kids are bawling because they have no idea what these questions even mean. And we have to say, it's okay, honey. We know it's too hard. You just do the best that you can. So we used the data basically for our teacher evaluations. They tied it to a goal for our building. We worked last year on, they looked at a standard that was consistently low throughout our building, which was phonics. And so we all targeted that, but we used the goals that the program set to look at, okay, what is our growth goal going to be, so we could celebrate and get a sticker on our chart in the hallway. So this year I feel like we're kind of doing the same thing, but the kids are expected to get 40 minutes of practice in reading and math, and it's supposed to be leveled based on what they need. And then we have to reassess, like I said, each quarter to see if we're hitting those goals. But I feel like we're having the kids take it, but in the meantime, we're having them do the lessons, but we're really not tracking or seeing what kind of progress they're making until they take that diagnostic again. So it's a little bit frustrating for us as well, because we have no idea really what we're essentially doing, but they're tying our student scores to our evaluations based off of this program.
Okay, with your iReady, is that brand new this year, or how long have you been using that?
It was brand new last year.
Last year, okay.
But it doesn't feel completely brand new, because now that the first graders that we're getting, they've already gone through the process, so they're not as scared. Like, they're more familiar with it, and they think, oh, okay, well, I know how to do this. But that first year that we started, it was just dreadful for the lower grades. The upper grades didn't notice it as much because they're used to multiple logins, but we only have 4 computers in our classroom all the time. We have Chromebooks, so the kids weren't even as familiar with being on a device. So everything was new. And then we didn't have the mouse for them to click on stuff, so they were having to use the clicker or the mouse on the laptop, which they were clicking all kinds of stuff and logging themselves out. So it's just been a huge learning curve for even how to take the test or use the program.
We definitely ran into that because second grade, when I taught second grade, map testing is the first year that they did that. So one of the things that we started doing with our school is they had a practice test, or like it's generic questions, like you have like 10 or so. Does iReady offer something like that for, like, I mean, it doesn't their results or anything, like the login is
Right.
test, password is test, but it at least familiarizes them. Does iReady have something like that?
I don't know. Like I said, we don't know a lot about it, but that would be amazing if we could do that first, especially when the test questions are so much above. Because I thought, oh, well, maybe it's just that one. So I was kind of walking around and there was like money question. I mean, it was all kinds of stuff that wasn't even our standards. And so I was kind of curious what information they could seriously be getting from that to personalize their lessons, because then we went in to look and see what kind of lessons they were doing, and some of them were literally counting 3 objects. It was like counting to 5, and they were clicking and dragging objects, and it seemed like they would stay on that forever. So I don't really understand exactly how the program is using the assessments to determine where they fall.
So then they are using these results for your teacher evaluation.
Yes, like they're tying those student scores and their growth to whether we have been an effective teacher or not.
Wow.
But what it's really
Wow.
interesting about it is
Yeah.
that we use the Success for All reading program. And so they're supposed to be leveled in their classroom. So, like, I have only 2 of my homeroom kids in my reading class. So but they can change then every quarter. So I may start with 15 kids in my class, but by the end of the year I may be down to like 4 kids that I originally started with. So my percentages are going to be, because every time a kid leaves my room, they might have moved up a level or moved down a level, but they don't track their scores anymore. They only stay with that group that was with me originally. And so it's a very frustrating, because it's like, okay, well, we're using data, but are you really getting a clear picture for what my kids are doing when we're constantly changing?
Oh yeah, and then to use that data for your personal evaluation.
Yeah,
when
Yes.
kids may not even be in your room. To see,
yeah, I agree with that.
Yes, it's very interesting.
that's a good word to use. That would
Yes, I would agree with that.
So I think I'm kind of like you guys as far as help that I'm wanting. I'm definitely show me. I'll try to do exactly what you want, but you have to show me first. So I would love for somebody to come in and show me how to use the assessments, or even for me to understand how the assessment works so that I can better prepare my students. So I did notice that they were doing like everything through word problems. Well, in math, we weren't practicing it in word problems. I was practicing, basic addition, whatever, but like every single question was in word problems. So now I've taken 1 day a week, whatever strategy we're working on, I work on presenting it to them through word problems, because I'm looking to see if maybe they're just not familiar with the question types that they're seeing. So maybe if I can help them in some way. But if I could have somebody come in and explain the program to me and its setup and how they determine levels and how they're determining the growth goals and stuff, then if I had a better understanding, I think I might be able to use it or promote it better.
yeah.
So I think then, your administrators would need to get somebody in from iReady or even SFA to come in and have professional development would be, one of the ways to help you and help the whole building.
Yes, I agree. That would be very helpful.
Yes.
Do you find yourself having to with them taking that and trying to use the data, do you find yourself doing more work to fit, like for instance, what you said with the word problems, where you have to kind of find more supplemental things?
Oh,
whereas
absolutely.
the resource should just have it for you.
Well, and to make things a little more interesting, in math, we don't even use a curriculum. We use standards, and so we have a math person that goes in and finds resources for us to use, but we're not even all teaching from the same, like, we have activities, but we don't really have like a lesson that we're doing that's consistent. Like our lesson plans say, like, this next week we're going to start subtraction to 5. Well, that's what the lesson plans say. So it's up to me to determine how I'm going to introduce that. So I pull out our the old program that we used in math called, what was it? It was a Common Core one. But anyways, I pull that out just to kind of give me a direction. I'm like, nobody sees a problem. Like, we're not using the same terminology. We're not using the same strategies or whatever. But
so how does that work with state assessments when you're saying you don't all use the same vocabulary and what have you?
honestly, if you look at our testing scores, they are very bad. And so other districts around will use us as their example of, okay, well, we're doing better than they are. Oh, that's cool. Sorry, my son had to show me a picture.
That's all right.
But yes, our test scores have not been good. And so I keep wondering when that connection is going to be made that, okay, well, there's a connection between not using a curriculum or not giving the professional development, and our student scores are suffering. So these courses are a little bit frustrating because it's like, okay, well, this is what you should be doing. And I keep going, well, this is what we're doing. How can I do it better in my classroom? But then that's only impacting my classroom. That's not the school overall.
Yeah. Oh my.
So
maybe meeting with other teachers in your building to try to get on the same page might be a strategy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
And like, how many teachers do you have on your grade level team?
There's 6 of us.
Okay,
so
wow. Do you guys meet often enough? Because I would think I would want to try and meet with them so you wouldn't having to be like reinventing the wheel
exactly. I was just thinking
right.
that too.
Well, yeah, and that's what I said. I told my husband the other day, I said, I'm on year 10 and I'm still coming up. Like, I feel like you should grow and try new things all the time. But I said, it shouldn't be this hard. Yeah. But we share like the materials that we use. But as far as getting together and planning that, no, we don't.
Because you don't have time, or your team is just not collaborating?
We're not collaborating is more of the issue. So anyways,
yeah,
we'll make progress. I keep thinking I can work to change things, but I have to show them. Maybe if I can change something in my room and show them something different, then maybe that's how we can bring about some change.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, positive mindset, sure.
Yes.
All right.
I think that's it. I'll stop.
Okay.
So thank you.
Right. Yes.